It's rare to say that humanity had a genuinely good day, but March 24th was one worth celebrating because I woke up to this lovely tweet. The OpenAI team announced that they are saying goodbye to Sora. For those who might not remember, Sora is the great top-of-the-line software product which made possible postmodernist art like the Sam Altman talking head in the toilet video. It was launched just a few months back with a lot of praise and hype in the paid media, and it was supposed to be the killer of multiple industries. The app had everything going for it. It was targeting an already established market, it was built using the amazing power of AI code generation by the hottest company in the industry, and its users had endless possibilities to create engaging content basically for free. And somehow it still failed miserably. What's funny is that a few months ago, Sora was supposed to be a potential huge revenue stream for a company which is currently burning through billions of dollars, millions of gallons of water, and which has no idea on how to turn AI into a sustainable business. The only strategy OpenAI had so far is to rely on bombastic announcements and crazy deals to justify the hype around it. The Sora launch was no different when OpenAI announced a $1 billion content partnership with Disney, which, as always, panicked a lot of people. This was a classic case of vaporware diplomacy, which is a term we all should be familiar with, especially now when all these AI companies are pushing questionable announcements to scare competitors and attract investors. Sam Altman, who is currently my third favorite Sam villain after the crypto scammer Sam Bankman-Fried and the serial killer son of Sam, is well known for leveraging investors' FOMO to sell the idea that its AI success is inevitable. Well, now Sora is gone, that billion-dollar partnership is also probably gone, and while the business side of this crash is quite interesting, I believe that the technical story is much more fascinating. The current assumption in the tech world is that if you give people powerful enough tools, they will naturally create something valuable. But creativity doesn't work like that. The internet is filled with stories of solopreneurs vibe coding entire products overnight, but all these success stories will probably end in yet another blog article titled "Surprised Pikachu finds out that nobody cares about its 20 vibe coded apps." The reality is that much of the success of a software product is directly tied to the process of building that software product. The constraints are what force decisions, and decisions are what shape products. The problem is that we've started confusing output with understanding. We look at a piece of generated code, or a generated video, or a generated product, and we judge it the same way we judge something that was actually built. It compiles, it runs, it looks convincing enough, so we assume it has value. There's this growing belief that coding is just a mechanical process, and if you remove the friction, the effort, and the thinking, what's left is pure 10x productivity. But when you look closely at how real systems come together, that whole idea starts to fall apart in a fairly obvious way. Most of the work in software has very little to do with typing code and far more to do with shaping the problem itself, cutting away unnecessary ideas, navigating trade-offs that only become visible halfway through, and constantly adjusting direction as new constraints appear. That process tends to be slow, sometimes frustrating, and deeply tied to human judgment. Tools like Sora are effectively removing this entire layer. They made it possible to jump straight to output without going through the phase where constraints force clarity and decisions give structure to the end result. The outcome of that shift was predictable. With Sora, we got a massive wave of content that initially looks impressive, but quickly loses its appeal once you spend more than a few seconds with it. I'm sure we'll see a similar situation in the SaaS world in the upcoming months. There is a growing belief that building an entire application over a weekend represents a compression of months of meaningful work, when in reality what gets compressed is only the appearance of progress. The underlying complexity remains untouched because the difficult parts of the process never take place. The Sora experiment is a first real glimpse into the results of lowering the barrier of entry on creation and making the entire process of building something almost free. All you get is mediocrity, compute costs, and no real impact in the real market. But the main takeaway of the video is that AI companies are starting to crack. Sora was burning through $15 million daily in compute costs with no real path to turning that into a sustainable business. And this isn't just a video generation problem. In the past few days, Anthropic quietly reduced the power of the services it delivers during times of peak demand in an effort to balance demand with its capacity to deliver service. All this because the math is not adding up. I think the real cost of using AI generation will shock a lot of people. Take for instance Anthropic's recent code review tool, which will charge you between $15 to $25 on average for each review. If you like this video, you should consider joining our community where I'm posting more dedicated weekly content. Please don't forget to smash all the buttons, and until next time, thank you for watching.